Hello and welcome to this Market Outlook session on China, sponsored by Zhejiang Langhua Pharmaceutical and broadcast as part of Virtual Expo Connect, hosted by CPhI and PMEC China. We have two expert speakers contributing today. The first is Annie Xu, Principal Consultant at Informa Pharma Intelligence. Dr. Xu was an Associate Professor at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, a visiting scientist at the National Cancer Institute of the National Institutes of Health, and a Research Assistant Professor at the State Key Laboratory of the University of Hong Kong. She has led and participated in several drug research and development projects sponsored by the Ministry of Science and Technology of the People's Republic of China, the National Natural Science Foundation of China, local governments, multinational pharmaceutical companies, and Chinese biotech companies. Over to you, Annie.
This presentation will have the major topic about the clinical trials and the review and approval procedures that may be able to accelerate the drug approval, and the reimbursement and the procurement policy in China, and followed by the market outlook at the end of this presentation. And this is the contact information of myself. So if you have any question or comment about this presentation, please feel free to contact me. This is the farmer solution set provided by Informa. Actually, for those of you who are using our database, you may be familiar with the data monitor healthcare and biomed checker, which will be able to provide some of the commercial insights like the market size, market forecast, and market share of the drug. And then you may also be able to understand the likelihood of approval of a drugs based by using our biomed checker platform. And we also cover the medical device. So we have the medical device tracker. For the clinical insights, we have a free platform like the trial tools, Citro, and pharma projects, which cover the global clinical trial landscape, global PI or sites who are able to run the clinical trials for you, and then global market landscape, drug development landscape, for you to get a better understanding about those drug development status. And in addition to the database, we also provide the insight product here, like the pink sheet, which is related to the regulatory changes or impact, and the MedTech insight, which is about the emergent technology, and the generic bulletin would have a update news on those generic and biosimilars industry. And on top of our service or existing platform, we also provide a large number of consultation service to our clients. About 90% of the top 50 pharmaceutical company actually are our consultation clients, and 90% of our clients are repeated business. And we also do, in addition to pharma, we also do the medical device projects, and with global experience. We have our clients from US, EU, APEC region, etc., like China and Japan, etc., as well. So now come to the second part of this presentation, which is about the clinical trial regulation and landscape analysis. So if you closely monitor the regulations change in China, you may notice that in 218, there is a adjustment in the review and approval procedures for clinical trials. It means that it changed from the approval procedures to tactic permission. That means the CDE shall be deemed to have give its consent if it does not give a denial or doubting opinion within 60 days from the date of application's acceptance, and our applicants may conduct the clinical trials according to the submitted plan. So as you can see, the number of the clinical trial filing should be increasing. So actually, if you look at the counts of the IND review and approval, actually we're increasing in China, and majority of them are oncology trials, and followed by anti-infectious disease trials. And if you look at the China's proportion in the global perspective, that means the number of trial that is including China as global trial that is including China as one of the location. Actually, the percentage is also increasing significantly with CAGR growth of about 50%. So it is increasing significantly, and the sponsorship is also changing significantly. For example, in 2110 to 2114, the top 5 industrial sponsor of those clinical trials in China were the MNC, for example, the Novartis, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Roche, and GSK. And from 215 to 219, actually the top 5 most of them becomes the domestic pharmaceutical company like the Hangyue, Sinopharm, CSPC, Qilu, and AstraZeneca remain the only MNC remained in the top 5 list. So as you can see that there are a large number of clinical trial activity were sponsored by those domestic pharmaceutical company in China. And we also see that there is a new adjustment for the, actually it was occurred in 217 for the multinational clinical trials, which allow the phase 1 clinical trial to be conducted simultaneously in China and overseas and remove the requirement that IND shall have been registered overseas or have entered phase 2 clinical trials. So as you can see that it may be expected that the multinational clinical trials in China would maybe also increasing. So here is the example. It is the data that we extracted from the TrialTrol, our database TrialTrol. As you can see that majority of the MNCT trial in China is the phase 3 trial. And regarding to the trial location, for those MNCT trial with China as one of the trial location, and other most popular trial location was US. That means most of this MNCT trial would have both China and US as the trial location. And 77% of those MNCT trial in China actually already include the US. Regarding to the disease area, again, we can see that oncology is the majority dominate. But you can see that MNCT may not be suitable for every disease or indication. Differences in the regulatory requirement, treatment guideline, patient pool may also be a hurdle. So as you can see that after oncology, actually the ranking of those disease area is changing slightly. So those may also tell you some of the insight about it also. So after the clinical trials, we may want to get our drugs approved in China. So let's talk about the pathway that is available. So if you closely monitor the regulatory change, you may notice that the provisions for drug registration was become effective in 2020 this year, July 1st. And so become effective that in chapter 4, that it is 4 kind of review and approval procedures has been mentioned explicitly for those accelerated approval. For example, the breakthrough designation, conditional approval, priority review, and special review. Because of the time limit, I only have time to talk about the breakthrough designation here. If you look at the scope of the breakthrough designation in US and China, you may be able to see that there's a large number of similarity. For both China and US, FDA and NMPA, actually, they also supporting those drugs that is developed for the disease or condition that are considered as serious or life-threatening, and for those drugs that demonstrate substantial improvement over existing therapies. So, from the drug developers' perspective, for BD's perspective, you may be able to foresee that for those drugs who have got the breakthrough designation in US, or for those indication who have granted the breakthrough designation or patient group, may have a higher opportunity in China somehow to get a breakthrough designation in China. So we have developed, our consultation team have developed a breakthrough designation dashboard to help you to have a one-stop shop to analyze all the breakthrough designation granted in United States in terms of the disease area, indications, patient segment. Okay, for the same disease area, for the same indication, which patient segment, with or without mutation, after several prior treatment, something like this will also affect the likelihood of getting a breakthrough designation eventually. And most importantly, is what kind of clinical trial the result is needed to support the breakthrough designation in the past, because they would become the benchmark for the next breakthrough destination. So all this information will be available from the breakthrough destination dashboard. And we could also tell you which phase is most likely to get those breakthrough destination based on histological data. And for BD's perspective, you may want to evaluate the values of those assets. So we will also have the actual sales for those launched the drugs and the sales forecast made by the investment bank and the due values made by the BD colleagues who are licensing or partnering with a drug that is that has got the breakthrough destination in the United States. So all this information will give you an overview or help you to identify the potential target for licensing or importing or exporting, something like that. If you closely monitor the situation in China, you may notice that the first breakthrough destination has been granted in China already, which is granted to the lucky guy here is the Legend Biotech. This is a CAR T drugs. In fact, it is also a drug that got the breakthrough designation in the United States. It is a drug developed by Johnson & Johnson and Legend Biotech, and it is used for the treatment of MN. And it was based on a phase 1b/2 clinical trial data to support the breakthrough designation in the United States, and it is under the phase 3 clinical development currently. And according to the biomarker checker, the likelihood approval of this drug is about average by 9%. So it is a very good indication. And we also noticed that the partnership between the Legend Bio and biotechs and the Johnson & Johnson in 2017 include a upfront payment of 350 millions, and with cost sharing and profit splitting arrangement outside China is 50-50. Within China is 70-50 with some milestone. So this kind of information will help you to better understanding about those drugs who have a breakthrough destination, may have a higher opportunity in China as well. Now, come to the last section here, which is about the reimbursement and procurement policy in China. The first topic that I would like to cover here is about the National Reimbursement Drug List. So it is a drug list that lists out the drug that covered by the National Medical Insurance Program. In general, if a drug that is included in the NRDL, actually the uptake will be increased significantly, which is expected. And the NRDL are classified into three types of drugs, including the Western drug, Chinese medicine, and negotiation drug list. For those old drugs, that means that have been included in the NRDL for a long time, they were classified as regular catalog. They no longer need to renegotiate every year to remain in the NRDL. But for those drugs that recently launched in China, they were listed in the National Negotiation Drug List. They are usually those drugs that recently launched in China, and they, in order to remain or in order to enter the NRDL, they have to go through a negotiation process with some kind of price reduction. So, give you an example here. In 2019, NRDL was updated, and 150 medicine were invited for price negotiation. 97 of these entered the NRDL negotiation, were invited to for the negotiation, and 97 of them are successfully entered the NRDL. 70 of them are new drugs with average price reduction of 61%, and 27 of them were renegotiated. That means before 2019, it was in the NRDL at the negotiation drug list. But in order to remain in the NRDL during the 2019 update, they have to renegotiate. And the price were further reduced by 26%. So you may be able to see that what kind of price reduction is expected. And if you look at the proportion of the composition of those drugs in those NRDL, this is the composition of the Western drug list in the NRDL. Basically, you can see that it covers a large number of disease area. And in terms of disease area, actually, it is quite evenly distributed. But if you look at the negotiation drug list in the NRDL, actually you can be able to see that oncology and immunological drugs actually is dominated. That means most of them are new drugs and maybe are highly needed drugs in China. That is the reasons why they were in the negotiation drug list. And if you look at the negotiation scheme in China, the history of this, you may be able to see that in 2013, before 2013 actually the NRDL only mainly covered the basic medical coverage. And at 2013, we have the national provision level of negotiation. That means only the province like Zhejiang, Jiangsu is negotiating some of the drug, which include only 50 or free drugs for those provisions. We also call it a pilot negotiation. And because the situation, the result is quite good, so it becomes a national pilot test in 2015, and it include only 5 drugs, and eventually 3 of them successfully entered the NRDL after the negotiation with price reduction of 59%. And at 2017, followed by another national formal negotiation, which included 44 drugs, and eventually 33 of them entered the NRDL, and with the price reduction of 44%. And 218 is interesting because it is also a national level of negotiation, but it only covered oncology drugs. Only 18 drugs were invited for negotiation, and 17 of them entered eventually, with price reduction of 57%. And at 2019, that is the example that I showed before, 150 drugs were invited and 97 eventually enter, with price reduction of 61% for those new drugs. So if you compare all the trends, you can see that the number of drugs invited for NRDL negotiation is increasing, and the price reduction is roughly about 55%, and the negotiation successful rate is about 75%. So for those drugs that enter the NRDL by a price reduction, they would get a very high increase in the in the market share. So this is the example here. For example, for those drugs, the 70 drugs that enter the NRDL through negotiation in 218, which is the oncology drugs, which were the oncology drugs, although their price reduced by 57%. But in terms of the sales average, sales volume and sales values in the first quarter of 2019, actually they were increased by 20-fold and 47-fold. So it would returns by a increase in uptake as well. And of course, we want to know what's next. Actually, if you look at the new announcement made by China government, actually we are expecting to see that the next round of NRDL adjustment will occur very soon, because there's a new adjustment plan has been announced in August this year. And it has explicitly tell us that this kind of drugs may be considered to enter the NRDL this year for the next round of update, including those drugs for the treatment of COVID-19, which is listed in the COVID-19 diagnostic and treatment guideline, and the national essential drug list oversees drugs urgently needed in clinical setting practice, and the pediatric drugs recommended for development by China government. So if you closely monitor this, you may be able to see that what kind of drug maybe have a higher potential in China recently. And for the card, because of time limit, I will only have time to talk about the COVID-19. Because as you may notice that there is a guideline has been several version of the guideline has been released in China by China government. And in terms of the clinical classification, it separate the patient group into mild, moderate, severe, and critical. And for the drug that it was recommended include those antiviral therapies and those immunotherapy, etc., and some Chinese medicine as well. So those drugs may potentially be able to consider to enter the NRDL later on as well. So this we have to wait to see what's happened next. Another topic that I would like to talk about is the volume-based procurement. Actually, it impacts the generic company industry significantly. So here is one of the example. This drug actually is for the treatment of an infectious disease. In the past, about 570 drug registration has been approved in China. Uh, the price of the off-patent drugs were evaluated because the blended drugs could win more hospital tender with their quality assurance. So China government tried to push the generic manufacturer to get their drugs approved in the generic quality assurance. Consistency evaluation. And out of the 570 drugs for this example, drugs registration, six of them passed the GQCE at the time when we do this analysis, and eventually four of them win at the volume-based procurement national-wise the volume-based procurement because under the rule only those branded drugs and generic who passed the GQCE were eligible to enter the volume-based procurement. So as you can see that there's a high consolidation occurring here in this market. And then you can also see that the history, actually, this volume-based procurement was started in 2018 and start at only 11 provinces and city, and then further extend to 25 other cities and locations, and then become the second national-wise volume-based procurement. And earlier this year, actually in July and August, the latest round of the volume-based procurement occurred in China already. And in terms of the number of drugs, you can also see that the number of drugs is increasing from about 25 to 32 to 55. And in terms of drug types, you can also see that in addition to oral drugs, injectable, and new modifications like the sustained release drugs were also included in the volume-based procurement procedures in the latest round of the VBP. So to get a better understanding about this, you may here you may want to see an example about the second round of the volume-based procurement, which is about the Acabo. Acabo actually in this round of the VBP, only two successful bidders is able to get into this round of the volume-based procurement, which include Bayer and Luye. And Bayer, because it gave out a lowest bidding price, so it becomes the top successful bidder. And because there's only two successful bidder, so they will be able to capture or share about 60% of the total procurement volume for 2 years. And being the top successful bidder, buyer is able to choose the supply area first, which is very important in this case because according to the official document provided by the government, actually the procurement volume of Acabo is not evenly distributed. Most of them are actually located in Beijing. So, the top successful bidder, buyer of course have to choose the Beijing as the one of their supply area because it has the higher priority to choose the supply area first. So by doing this, by using this approach, actually the market share in terms of the sales value actually also changing significantly. For example, from buyer's perspective, actually you can see that before the volume-based procurement, it could capture about 60% of the market share. But after that, we officially, based on the calculations that we got from the result mentioned earlier, it will become 35%. And for Luye, because in the past they were providing the capsule form of the drugs only, which is about 4% of the market share. But because it is the second largest supplier right now, after the the second round or the second national volume-based procurement, it can capture about 41% of the market share. And Huadong was able to capture about 30% of the market share, but because bidding price reasons, they were not able to capture this market share in the latest round of the volume-based procurement. So the market share changes significantly because of the volume-based procurement procedure occurring in China. So if you are doing the generic market drug development. So this kind of policy, you may want to have a closely monitor those information as well. So, but last but not least, by looking at those information that I provided earlier, you may be able to see that in terms of the regulatory reform in China, actually they are encouraging the several factors here. First thing is about innovation. For example, for those drugs with innovative, which be able to solve some of the highest medical unmet needs, they may be able to get a breakthrough designation, and they may be able to enter the NRDL eventually. So it is a motivation for innovation. Last but not least, for the acceleration in terms of the clinical trial authorization, it is accelerated. In terms of the approval, it is also accelerated by the four different pathway. And in terms of the accessibility, you may also be able to see that in terms of the no matter it is about the national reimbursement drug list or the volume-based procurement, which also have to occur some kind of price negotiation. And last but not least, of course, is the globalization to encourage more multinational clinical trial or our licensing or in licensing support. So all this thing is going to reshape the market in China eventually. We can foresee that. So this is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for your time. As I mentioned before, if you have any question about this presentation, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Annie, for your presentation. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker, Cynthia Ban, President of Zhejiang Langhua Pharmaceutical. Ms. Ban has over 25 years of experience in global marketing and the pharma CDMO business. Driven by technology and innovation, she has led Langhua Pharma to become one of the top CDMO suppliers in China. She is also a VP member of the China Chamber of Commerce for import and export of medicines and health products. Before moving to Cynthia's presentation, we have a short video for you on Langhua Pharmaceutical.
Zhejiang Langhua Pharmaceutical is an FDA-approved APIs manufacturer and customer-preferred CDMO partner in China. With 30 years' growth, Langhua has been the comprehensive pharmaceutical company to provide customer one-stop solution, including marketing and sourcing, APIs production, custom synthesis, and QEHS consultancy service, etc. Based on CGMP and ICH guideline, Langhua established robust quality system and passed FDA, WHO, EDQM, and Visa and CFDA's on-site inspections. 2 EU GMP were granted and 4 DMF were filed in US FDA. Driven by reliability, flexibility, efficiency and innovation, Langhua contributes to the improvement of medicines availability and affordability.
Reliability.
Langhua passed EDQM inspection with no major observation and FDA inspection with 0 observation. Langhua robust GMP system can ensure the risk-free GMP compliance to support your new drug's NDA filing. Langhua established excellent EHS system to support supply sustainability. The EHS system has passed PSCI and Big Pharma's inspections. Langhua respects customers' intellectual property, set up the policy and procedure to protect customers' confidential information.
Flexibility.
Langhua has a flexible, project-driven approach to customers' request, targeting a custom-made solution fit for your purpose and requirements.
Efficiency.
With the concept of develop for production and lab to plant by same team, Langhua ensures the timely project transfer from lab to industry with 100% success rate.
Innovation.
Langhua experienced R&D team engages to apply new technologies to develop eco-friendly process to realize your idea and make product available and affordable. With strong R&D, abundant capacity, robust GMP and EHS system, Langhua can support you in the whole product life cycle, including ROS screening, process development and optimization, scale-up, registration and validation campaign through to commercial supply. Zhejiang Langhua Pharmaceutical, your valuable CDMO partner.
Everyone, thank you for joining us, and thank you very much for your attention to the introduction video of Zhejiang Langhua. Also here, I want to thank Informa for providing me the opportunity to talk about China. My name is Cynthia Ban. I'm the president of Zhejiang Langhua Pharmaceutical in China. I'm also vice president of China Chamber of Commerce for import and export of medicines and health products. I have been working in pharmaceutical field for 25 years. So today, the topic I want to bring up is supply chain from China. So my presentation, including 4 parts, start from overview of China pharmaceutical industry. Then I would like to touch supply chain from China to talk about challenges and opportunities, and the supply chain reliability. The last point is find the right partner to work with. So I start from overview of pharmaceutical industry in China. All of us are working in pharmaceutical industry. I think we feel proud because it is a very meaningful job. Globally, pharmaceutical market growing very fast. And if we look at China market is second market now in the world. And we expect by 2022, the market size can reach $330.5 billion. So quite fast growing. And the growing is not only to the size. The more important thing is to the quality. So if we look at USDM filing and CEP application, here I listed the chart for the past 5 years. So from the chart, you can see China has been the second country for USDMF and CEP application in the world. So next slide, I would like to give you a number on internalization of Chinese manufacture. There are 247 CEP for API manufacturers in China, and there are more than 1,600 USDMF for API manufacturers in China, more than 600 US ANDA for Chinese formulator. For WHO PQ, there are 58 APIs, 31 finished dosage, 8 IVD, and 6 vaccines. Next slide, I listed the new drug launch. Here's the chart for year 2018 and 2019. So 2 years, you can see China percentage is increased from 7% to 12%. So China also playing important role now for new drug launch. Next slide, I would like to touch about CDMO business. So from the chart, you can see globally, the CDMO business volume is increasing and quite fast. And China market also increasing at very high speed. More and more customers come to China to partner with Chinese manufacturers. Okay, next slide is talking about import and export change from China. So again, from the number you can see the import and export both are increasing in China. In past 10 years, the increase is even more than 176%. This year, impacted by COVID-19 even, so China exported $42.1 billion, with increase rate 16.17%. Let's have a look on what we export in the first half year. So here is a summary of our export in this year, the first half of this year, mainly for COVID-19. the supply from China. So you can see we supply pharmaceuticals and medical device. For API, the export increased by 6.85%. Antibiotics, antivirus increased by 10%. Vitamins increased by 24%. Finished dosage increased by 23%. For medical devices, China exported to 199 territories, including masks, protective clothing, diagnostic kits, ventilators, and etc. So we are happy to see we can support globally for COVID-19 combating. So the supply from China for the first half of this year. Okay, so next slide. By showing all the data, all the numbers, I think I can draw the conclusion that China is a faster growing market and China can supply more to the world. Now I would like to talk about supply chain from China, about challenges and opportunities. I think the big challenge for all of us is COVID-19 as a big surprise to start this year. So next slide, you can see we have all the problems like no traveling, production impact, R&D impact, logistic impact, not possible to do audit, and price was increased. We have to work from home, and we even worry about potential second wave, or even this COVID-19 become something like new normal. We don't know. You might be suffered already from COVID-19 for your supply, and we might underestimate the impact at the beginning of this year. So how should we prepare ourselves for our supply chain, just to make sure we can guarantee the supply? Besides COVID-19, I think we have other challenges as well. Maybe you are buying from China and you feel in the past 2-3 years, you get quite some bad news from China, and which worries you. So bad news like serious incidents again. And the manufacturer may tell you, we have to stop, we have to close, we have to move. And they say the price was increased. And they say it's difficult to get a new production permission. And China reach enforcement by next year. So all this bad news maybe worries you. And maybe you also ask yourself, how can our partner in China deal with all the challenges to guarantee the supply to us? And should we continue or try to find alternatives? So today I want to answer your concern. First, I want to give you the updated situation in China on COVID-19. So in short, I think we can say we are almost back to normal in China. The production, the R&D, all the business activities are back to normal. We don't have masks on in working place any longer. Only in crowded places like train station, airport, we may just put mask on. In working place, we feel safe. And here I show you the code. This is my code, green code. So we have system-based monitoring instead of asking questions or checking temperature. This is very smart and reliable system. Only people holding the green code can travel freely. So in China, till today, it has been just by end of September, it has been consecutively 45 days. There's no new case. And in China, also for API China in October will be held as scheduled. CPhI Shanghai is planned in December. So we are happy we are back to normal. But manufacturers in China, really prepare themselves for the potential risk. For example, anticipate production, try to keep the raw material or finished product in stock. So we try everything just to make sure we can supply. Also, I want to talk about opportunities. Just now I mentioned you may heard more than enough just the bad news and which worries you. But in China, we also see the challenge always come with opportunity. So I want to talk about some opportunities here. First, for capacity in China. So even with the closure, with the close of the plant or close of the chemical zone, there are still more than enough capacity in China. And you know, with all this EHS enhancement program by closing plants, good manufacturers stays, and good manufacturer, they grow very fast. The EHS enhancement program also drives investment and improvement. So good manufacturers become better. Cost increase temporarily. We think China's supply is still competitive. And we think we have more professional governance for production permission. Is that possible to get production permission? Sure, yes, we can get it. The government, the authority, they still encourage innovation. They welcome new projects and support. China REACH, is that a challenge? The guideline is very clear to follow. So the government really support pharmaceutical industry and support export. So with all these opportunities, I think China's supply is still very important supply chain globally. Okay, next slide, I would like to talk about supply chain reliability. So reliability, the next slide, you can see there are so many elements are linked together. So reliability is about risk mitigation. So all the elements, quality, EHS, R&D, production, logistic, engineering, planning, everything together. So we need to really look at everywhere. I think the important thing is to find the right partner to work with, because strong partnership can achieve more, especially with very challenging environment. So please allow me to my last part of my slides to find the right partner. And please allow me to introduce Langhua as your partner. Okay, Zhejiang Langhua, just as you saw from the introduction video, we are located in national level chemical zone in Zhejiang province in Taizhou. And this plant is with high compliance on both quality and EHS. We are US FDA, WHO, EDQM, CFDA, Avanza, all approved site. We focus on API production, GMP intermediate production, and CDMO business. For Langhua Pharma, all our business activities, including marketing, R&D, chain management. We hope our team can be your external team for supply chain solution, and we could be your CDMO partner. Let me introduce our business activity one by one. So start from marketing and sourcing. We have professional team, a big team with 33 years experience. And we have very strong market intelligence and strong network in China. We are dealing with intermediates, APIs, and formulation. To support our sourcing, we have a dedicated quality and EHS team, also the R&D and QC team. So just with their support, we can guarantee the quality supply to customer. And we also provide supplier management service. For our R&D part, we have more than 100 persons team working in R&D. We focus on new process development and process optimization. We have 15 years working experience with big pharma, so we understand the regulations, we understand customer expectations. We are proud that we could be involved in a lot of new product launch. And now with our safety lab, that's a big support to our development and a big support for our production. What we feel proud is we have 100% scaling up process success because we are doing development for production. And we have the lab to plant approach. The production side, as I mentioned, the high quality and GMP, we focus on reliability, flexibility, efficiency, driven by innovation. We have API experience. We have CDMO experience. We can do tech transfer or self-development. We have experience on project management. So here I want to show you the supply chain management service from our company. So as a lot of you cannot travel, but you need to audit the manufacturer and you need to visit the manufacturer. Other thing you need to do from China, I hope my team can help you. So what we could do is we do the supply chain management by risk monitoring, risk mitigation, and GMP EHS system improvement. So we have this kind of proactive quality program with technical support to the manufacturer. For EHS, for quality, for audit inspection, and CAPA development and follow-up. So in case there's any audit, the audit from customer or authorities, our team can support. We have a lot of experience. So again, as I just mentioned, if you need to do something in China, if you need third-party service, please let our team to help you. Also, we can provide a QC testing service and process safety assessment service. We have QC. We try to use exactly the same method as you and do the release testing or double testing before shipment in China to guarantee the right quality. So for the process safety assessment, we have our safety lab. And last is process development and optimization. Again, as I said, we do process development for production. And with the quality by design, EHS by design concept. So what we developed in lab, we can make sure that can be scaled up. I talk about reliability. Let's have a look of our production side, how we improve our reliability. So from R&D to production. From the R&D part, we have proactive process optimization. And we have the fast lab to plant approach by the same team. So that makes all the knowledge stay and our people also get a lot of experience. So we have very fast CapEx execution and quick maintenance. With our quality EHS system of very high standard. And we have tried to say for the supply chain, we always think our supplier to manage our supply chain is our responsibility. We should never go to our customer say, sorry, I cannot deliver because I cannot get our supply. So to achieve that, we always try to qualify more than 2 suppliers. And for critical materials, we also try to make it possible to produce in-house if necessary. So we have this robust supply chain management and quite a rapid response and high quality service to our customer. So all works together to drive our reliability. I think reliability also very much related on how we do the project management. So in the past, customer come to us, give us some information and ask for deliverables mainly for products. But now customer need to satisfy all the regulatory requirements. So what we need, the deliverables, is not only products, but the right information to satisfy customer and regulatory. What we see is in the corporation, clearly there should not be no black box, but clear procedure with transparency. Because we believe the transparency is the fundament to win trust. So whenever there is a project, we will set up a team, involve all the functions. And for communication, we think that's really the key to win the trust. As I just mentioned, we always believe transparent, clear, timely communication with customer is the key for project success. And we always keep the customer updated on the progress of the project. All the important documents, project-related documents, we all prepared in bilingual. We can have the communication as customer preferred, leader to leader, function to function, daily, weekly, so we can do it. So Zhejiang Langhua is a CDMO partner from China. And Norbai, we hope we can be your sourcing partner from China. And I hope we can work together. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
And that concludes today's session. Thank you to our speakers for taking part, and particularly to our sponsor, Zhejiang Langhua Pharmaceutical, for their support.